Hello and welcome to Minutes with Masterson. I'm your host, Jay Masterson, and with me today, the very talented Charles Dunbar. Alright, so, Charles.
It's Sunday, I can get away with that.
Yes.
Edit it out in post.
Oh, I don't edit anything out. I prefer no filters. Unless you want me to.
There's a guy who I did a podcast with last year that does no filters. It was really funny.
Hell yeah. Was it the Danger Zone dude? Alright. Alright, so most of your panels deal pretty heavily into and pretty deeply into Japanese mythology and how heavily they impact animation nowadays.
It just happened that way.
So, what originally got you into all that?
Well, I've been into mythology and folklore since I was but a wee lad. My parents gave me a lot of fairy tale books. My parents encouraged me to read, and I really was obsessed with gods and fantasy. And over time, one just starts to look for the inspirations for what one knows. And anime just, it kind of was, I wanted to start giving content to conventions, and that was the only thing I could talk about. I was doing a spate of lectures on mythology for the Joseph Campbell Foundation for the New York branch, and I did one on adversaries, which became my adversaries panel. I did one on afterlives, which some of it's in Dead Like Us, some of it's its own thing. I did one on video games, where I talked at great length about Xenosaga, and then I did one on anime, and I kind of began to evolve and transform the work. And it turned into something, and that something kept becoming something. Like everything I do, I often say is derived directly from the manga mythology panel I do, is where everything I do derives from. That was the first, and almost every panel I do after that is direct result.
If you ever plan to go into a convention and you see his name on the guest list, go to his panels. You might get confused every now and then, but he does really good explanations.
Fire hose. Of course you're going to get confused. That's my method for getting you to come back.
One of the best things about his panels is he actually studies this stuff, actually knows what he's talking about.
And then I drink an enormous amount of caffeine.
Also, yes. So, I'm going to go ahead and assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that Japanese mythology is probably your favorite type.
No, actually, it's not.
Right.
My favorite is Norse mythology.
Vote Odin.
Yeah, vote Odin. Actually, no, vote Cthulhu. Why choose the lesser evil? No, I started...
we were in the Cards Against Humanity panel with everybody.
Oh, last night?
And some other person on my team, saw me holding my Poro, like I've been doing all weekend, had a baby Cthulhu plushie.
Oh, so cute.
I want one. Went into the dealer's room, there are none left.
I have a couple of Chibi Thulus that I've bought over the years. No, it was like I started with Norse mythology because I was obsessed with Odin. My interest in Japanese mythology wasn't until much later. I was actually more interested in samurai for the longest time when I was 8 or 9.
Well, you got the little Oni mask on it.
The Hanya, I got this out of a vending machine in Japan, and it looked...
You recently got back from that,
yeah,
that's right.
Back in October. This was like, I found this in a vending machine, and unlike the other things I acquired, this thing lays perfectly. So I was wearing it with my kimono at Sangha Project, and it looked really nice, so I decided, I'm just going to turn this... It's supposed to be a cell phone charm. Can you imagine this as a cell phone charm? This thing is like huge. So I turned it into a necklace, and I just started wearing it. Because why not? But
seriously, why not?
I was more interested in samurai. When I was 9, my mom gave me a book called Secrets of the Samurai because I was into Ninja Turtles and she saw ninja stuff in there. And it was based on a lot of Heike Monogatari and Book of Five Rings. So I learned who Musashi was. I learned about Ieyasu and the Edo period. And most of what we know about like the Heian era comes from things like the Heike Monogatari, which was meant to be a giant exorcism. And I got really into that time period. So years later, when I'm going into Japanese stuff, I'm discovering that the book that I read when I was a kid, I found primary sources for it, and I just got really obsessive about it.
That's pretty much how I started with mythology. My first exposure to mythology began pretty late in life with the Percy Jackson books. I just picked them up, started reading them, and I was like, I know Greek mythology has for basically its entire existence, been very loosely interpreted and transformed into other things. And I just started getting deeper into it.
I enjoyed Percy Jackson when it was out. I did. I read all of them over the course of like a week and a half, and I really enjoyed it while it was out. I didn't like the liberties he took with how the world he built was. And a bunch of my friends and I decided we were running a game of Scion, where you get to play the child of a god, and we decided to base it on Camp Half-Blood. And my character's name was, we just creed that the Olympian gods only claim that they're the ones in charge. They aren't actually in charge. But they got Western civilization. It doesn't mean that they beat out all the other ones. So, like, we had a court based on the Amatsukami. We had the Norse gods puttering around up there. And we rewrote the entire Percy Jackson mythos so that it made sense to us. And then we played through all 5 books using characters. Only one of them was a Greek half-blood. We had one guy was Japanese, one guy was an Aztec who could jump through mirrors. And then there was me, I was playing the son of Odin. And I was the son of Odin.
The best kind.
I was the son of Odin. He took the name of Grimnir, which is in one of the Eddas as one of Odin's many names, and he was followed around by a giant dude in a trench coat, who he revealed at the end of one of the major storylines. In the Lightning Thief, when we messed around with the Lightning Thief, we had it that he accused Zeus of taking the lightning. Zeus accused Thor of taking the lightning bolt, and he tried to invade Asgard.
That was actually an episode of Epic Rap as a History.
Yeah, he was accusing him of saying, "Oh, so we're going to invade Asgard," and they carefully orchestrate it so that Zeus violates the terms of honorable combat, and then Grimnir's, the guy in the trench coat, reveals himself to be Vidar, the god of retribution, who proceeds to beat the shit out of Zeus. And we're like, this is how Percy Jackson should have been. So now apparently he did the Egyptian ones and he did the Roman ones, and now he's doing the Norse ones. Honestly, I would just read rune marks by oh god, what's her name? The lady who wrote Chocolat, Joanna something. She wrote something called Rune Marks and Rune Light, which I think is a much better version of that.
I mean, my interest from Greek eventually turned to the Roman equivalent, found out it wasn't as much fun. Then it moved on
Had more
to
sex though.
Yeah. Then it moved on to the Egyptians. I was really fond of Ra, but mostly Horus. Then it just kept expanding to other things. And
what do you think of Gods of Egypt? What do you think of that hotness?
Less confusing, but like a lot more bunched together. Like one god is the god of like 7 different things.
I sat there when I was watching the trailer for Gods of Egypt, and I was sitting there with a bunch of friends. One of my friends is like, "Why are all the Egyptians white?" Another one of my friends is, "Why does that not look like Egypt?" And my response is, "What the fuck are they using the flawed mythology?" Because Set was not the god of evil; he was the god of foreigners.
Seth was the god of evil.
No, he wasn't. He never was.
Wait, is it Set or Seth?
Either one works. The whole idea behind it was originally when Egypt was 2 dynasties, 2 kingdoms.
Okay, so it's a different spelling for the same person?
Yeah, that's how I pretty much look at it. But
okay.
It's like there were 2 kingdoms. There's the upper kingdom, which was the Nile Delta, and the lower kingdom, which was buffered on all sides by enemies. Set was the god of the lower kingdom who protected Egypt from invaders. The pharaohs had to be crowned by both him and Horus for prosperity and defense, and then eventually the cult of Horus invaded the lower kingdom, killed everyone, and took over and demonized their god. And that's where that whole king came from. So when you base something on flawed mythology, I get really angry. Do your damn research. I love Gerard Butler. But no. The villain should be Apep.
After what M. Night Shyamalan was forced to do with The Last Airbender, I don't trust any kind of...
Shyamalan made that movie for his kids. It's kind of like, I can't...
But what he was forced to do with casting, though, I mean, after that, I will refuse to see Gods of Egypt because of what the casting is.
I like how they called out the director, and the director admitted he screwed up.
Oh no, he'll freely admit that.
He admitted he screwed up. At least give him some credit for admitting he screwed up.
But Roland Emmerich won't admit that after 98 Godzilla.
98 Godzilla, if you look at what Godzilla actually was, the story actually was, it sort of makes sense. Godzilla was Americans using nuclear bombs awaken a dinosaur that attacks their most popular and most prosperous city and destroys it, threatens their very way of life. Because America and Japan war. in 98 Godzilla. France wakes up a giant monster, irradiates it, and it attacks New York. It's the same general plot, because we had a prickly relationship with France at the time. It's the same plot, just not done as well. Although, that Godzilla is canon. He's canon.
Yeah.
He's in Final Wars. He's canon.
For like 14 seconds.
About 30, and then he gets blown up by actual Godzilla, who also obliterates the city.
Actual Godzilla.
That was such a great movie. Final Wars was so good.
I found it on Amazon the day before my paycheck hit. Went back that morning. It was gone.
Yeah, I bought my copy at Barnes & Noble for $5. Still worth it.
Greatest store in the world for me. I love Barnes & Noble so much.
Criterion Films, 50% off. Every year I buy one. This year they finally released Qui-Gon, and it's a really great ghost story collection. And I bought it. I'm like, yep, for $15 I'm gonna get this thing.
All right. So I've had a few people, when I was sitting at some of your panels, I heard them muttering a few things. Nothing bad, I assure you. But with the recent Star Wars film that just came out, are you a Star Wars fan at all?
Oh yeah. I've been a Star Wars fan since 96, 95, 96.
All right. So have you looked into it's not really mythology, but have you looked into the mythos of the Star Wars universe?
All the time. One of the panels I'm planning to do later this year is I'm going to do East Asian influences in Star Wars, because I'm reading a really good book right now called The Dharma of Star Wars that talks about how Buddhism is represented and how Star Wars can be a great gateway to Buddhism.
That's not a bad transition, actually.
Mindfulness, when Qui-Gon says, don't be aware at the expense of the present. Be mindful of the living force. That's pretty much like one of the central tenets of Buddhism is mindfulness. Be mindful of who you are, where you are, what you're doing, and when you're doing it, how you're doing it, and that will allow you to move beyond it.
Also, when Liam Neeson tells you to do something, you
do it. Otherwise, he'll find you and he'll kill you.
Yes.
Or he'll ask you if tricks are for kids.
And I remember that now. Thank you.
That was like the best scene in Ted 2. Ted 2 I watched on the flight to Japan, and I actually rewound and watched Liam Neeson's scene like 6 times. It was so funny.
If it was not for Liam Neeson, I never would have seen that. Never would have done it.
Such a good line, though.
Just don't.
I have some questions about this breakfast cereal. I've been led to believe that it is exclusively for children. Well, they say the tricks are for kids. Is that enforceable?
Right. So, going back to an earlier question, you said Norse was your favorite.
Yeah.
Would it be safe to assume Odin was your favorite god?
Odin and Vidar are my 2 favorites because I like wisdom and I like ass kicking, and Odin and Vidar pretty much deal with that perfectly.
That's completely understandable. Also, when it comes to Norse mythology, there's not as much backstabbing and just being general assholes amongst them.
Well, I guess you could look at the fundamentals of society. In Greco-Roman society, you were encouraged to screw people to get ahead. In Norse society, breaking an oath was considered like the worst possible thing you could do. And it comes down to the fact that living in the Northlands, you need to work together or everyone dies. So if someone breaks their oath, you're killing a bunch of people. In Greece and Rome, there was no such problem. People would backstab each other all the time because the peasants would make sure the food is flowing. A lot of the things people would call Vikings were actually farmers. They only raided in the off-season. So they needed to keep their crops going.
I mean, it's too cold to grow food. Let's go take it from other people.
Yeah, I mean, most of what I know about Vikings is this idea that they would farm, and then when they were bored, they'd go raiding. I mean, come on, it's something to do when you're bored. If you're bored and you're drunk and you've got some swords, you might as well use them.
Oh, if only Minnesota could learn that.
We're from Minnesota. Bring us your women.
What he said. Actually, a friend I went to high school with is actually playing for the Minnesota Vikings. Went to Notre Dame on a full 4-year football scholarship. A lucky bastard.
Not much of a football person. Never have been.
Oh, I've been into football since I was 6 years old.
I like baseball mostly. For a guy I went to high school with, it was police to Will. I don't know if it says, but he was playing for the Rangers for a little while.
I'm gonna shift over a little here. Yeah. Baseball, too slow pace for me. I usually just pick a random team to cheer for each year, but off topic. Seems to
I don't care who I cheer for as long as I'm jeering the Yankees.
Don't say that too loud. There's a lot of people.
I'm a New Yorker. F the Yankees. F the Yankees. I'm a Mets fan.
Okay.
Sox fans, they hate they think they hate the Yankees. They don't talk to Met fans. We hate the Yankees even more.
So, oh Christ, I forgot what I was going to ask you. Not important. Moving on. All right. So, is there a particular anime or style of anime that you like more than the other? And by style, I should have said genre.
Not particularly. I'll watch anything. I mean, I like giant robots. I like magical girls. I like fighting. I like Gekiga. I like everything. I mean,
There was a line in the web series Death Battle when they put the White Tiger Zord against Gundam Epion. Glorious fight. Don't like the way it ended, but logic.
did
Can't
Tiger
argue
Sword
with it.
win?
Unfortunately, no.
Who was piloting Epion?
Zex,
Okay, I can see that.
who's an actual military trained pilot aside from a high school student.
Yeah.
Much as Tommy Oliver was my childhood hero, can't argue with logic.
My argument is Kira Yamato and Strike Freedom wins everything.
Or Superman, but yes.
It wins everything. Kira Yamato and Strike Freedom can beat Superman.
We'll talk about that later off camera.
I have my favorite Gundam series.
But the
and my
line
favorite
was, when the opening of the episode started, one host is talking, the other host, Boomstick, is like, I'm sorry, did you say something? I couldn't hear you over the sound of giant robots. Seriously, what is cooler than giant robots fighting? Nothing.
Nothing is cooler than a giant robot fight. Nothing whatsoever.
They even brought that up in that show Archer on FX.
I mean, come on.
Robot fight.
Well, come on. Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim. Giant robot punch monster in face. There you go.
No one thought that movie was going to be as good as it
2
was.
hours of giant robot punch monster in face. That's all you needed. You just needed to make the robot
Using a
look
cargo
real.
ship as a baseball bat
That is freaking awesome. That movie is
would never work, but that was hilarious.
nope, physically impossible to work.
And
But
Toho owns Pacific Rim, King Kong, and Godzilla.
they own all of them.
Yes.
Like
Or
it.
they I know they own King Kong and Godzilla. I think they're either partners or they do own Pacific
This
Rim.
is why in Godzilla 2, Gypsy Danger needs to make a cameo.
No, at this point, part of the internet is actually demanding all three show up at once.
No. In the next Pacific Rim movie, Godzilla needs to be there.
Godzilla better win, blast it.
He's going to win, but Godzilla's not a villain, so...
Not anymore.
Category 10 kaiju, you don't need to worry about that. He's gonna,
They only went up to 5.
they only went up to
That's
5.
a
It's just
10.
Godzilla's a category 10. Nope, you're not going to... Godzilla will destroy the kaiju because that's what Godzilla does. He destroys kaiju.
Yeah, I mean, he beat Gamera, the protector of the universe.
He beat Gamera. He beat Ghidra, who is a god, several times. He even beat Ghidra in Giant Monsters All-Out Attack when it was a literal god being woken up from his eternal slumber to fight him. He beat Ghidra.
Because Godzilla. That got me into giant monsters. The very first Godzilla movie I ever saw, Godzilla vs. Biollante. I still have the VHS. It doesn't work
I
anymore.
always thought Biollante was the villain in that. I wasn't until I watched it recently. Like, wait, he was the good guy. Damn.
Yeah.
Godzilla's cells can make plants awesome.
Yeah. Mothra was a good guy. Or supposed to be.
Mothra always was a good guy.
They just didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things.
I think Mothra's in the next movie.
It's supposed to be. They've already signed up for 2 sequels. I'm just hoping
But are they going to make Mothra the villain? Because it's implied that Godzilla's the hero.
The better question is, are they going to show more than 12 minutes of Godzilla in the next movie?
You know, I didn't mind that. I didn't mind the fact that Godzilla was best experienced in small bursts. If you see too much Godzilla, he loses what makes him special. It's kind of like what they did with the Borg in Star Trek.
No, like the formula for these movies is until halfway through he doesn't actually show up, which is how it works. But we don't focus solely on like one character, especially the soldier. Like it's a group of people usually, a small group, but going back and forth.
I firmly believe that Bryan Cranston needed to be the star of that movie. It should have been him and Ken Watanabe.
Still have not seen Breaking Bad. I really need to get on that.
Oh, neither have I. I like Bryan Cranston from Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh God, yes, he was in.
He was the dad on Malcolm in the Middle. It's proof that he can do anything. He's like Paul Giamatti. He can do anything.
Yes. But that movie was so glorious. It made me happy. Bye-bye, Gypsy Danger. All right, we've gotten even more off topic, but that's what happens.
That's usually what happens. It's like a podcast. You start talking. I used to be part of a podcast where we would have a topic, and the topic would be done within 5 minutes. We'd be off topic, talking about something else.
Always off topic. So, You said you love giant robots. Is there a particular robot that was always your favorite?
Strike Freedom, Gundam, Freedom Gundam, anything from Gundam Seed, I'm happy with. That's like, I love that. I love that Gundam story. Of all the side stories I've seen, that is my favorite one.
Yeah, I tend to gravitate towards Gundam Wing, but you always tend to gravitate to the first one
Yeah,
you
Wing
saw.
was the first one I saw. Wing's okay, but then Seed came out, and I'm like, oh, technology.
I didn't get to see that one all the way through, unfortunately. I only saw a few episodes.
Watch Seed all the way through, then watch Destiny up until the last 3 episodes, and then stop. Because the last 3 episodes ruin the entire series.
Kind of like the last series of Torchwood, when another people got a hold of it.
Oh, you mean Children of Men, Children of Earth?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not Children of Earth. It's the other one, Miracle Day. You know, I've never actually watched Torchwood.
I haven't finished it. I just know what happens. And
Yeah, I've never actually watched Torchwood.
just the thought of it, it's like, really?
No, I saw Children of Earth. That's all I've seen of Torchwood. Everything else I know about Captain Jack comes from watching Doctor Who, and of course, since Moffat's a douche, he won't use him because he didn't create him.
Yeah. Such a great character, though. Jack Harkness was awesome. And like his entire character development is basically space boner for the Doctor.
Yes, agreed, completely. Awesome.
And it also really just furthers it because John Barrowman's actually really attractive.
Oh yes, John Barrowman is a handsome man.
He's not Sean Connery, though.
Nobody is. Not even Sean Connery anymore. Just watch Zardoz. Watch Zardoz and you'll
Actually,
understand.
one of my favorite pictures I've ever found on the internet was a picture of Sean Connery from '89 and a picture of him in 2009. And it reads, "Once you hit max level, you stop leveling." And he looks exactly the same.
You're a crotchety old Scot.
Still the greatest actor I've ever seen. So, being a massive nerd like the rest of us, otherwise you just wouldn't be here, is there any particular movie you're looking forward to in the next couple of years? Because in the next 5 years, we got a massive lineup. Captain America 3, Warcraft, Godzilla 2 scheduled for the next year release.
Actually, no. Aside from the next 2 Star Wars movies, nothing. I'm kind of over Marvel movies. They saturated the market with them, and I stopped caring.
Doesn't seem like we can go more than 2 months without hearing about one.
Yeah, but it's like they saturated Marvel, so I don't care anymore.
It's not that they're bad movies, we're just tired of hearing about them. I mean, plus
When
we still got to
everything-
get to DC.
When everything led up to Avengers, it was perfect. Winter Soldier was perfect. And Guardians of the Galaxy was perfect.
Oh, that movie was just fun.
And then, nope. Didn't like Thor 2. Did not like Avengers 2. Oh, I liked Iron Man 3. That I liked.
Only
But that
really-
was just the Dark Knight with Tony Stark. There's nothing really coming out that I'm looking forward to. I'm not really chomping at the bit for Batman Superman. I've been over Warcraft for years, so I kind of don't care.
Oh, I can't stand that game, but I love the lore to it.
That's really, aside from Star Wars Episodes 8 and 9, there's nothing there. There is literally nothing there that I'm looking for that's saying, like, you have to watch me. Nothing. It's unfortunate.
Not
but
even
true.
Godzilla?
No. But I'm at that age where I'm not hyped up for stuff anymore. I don't buy into hype because
Well,
then
also, you get too busy and too
I
tired.
inevitably get disappointed by what happens. So I just don't buy into hype anymore. Some of the best things that I've seen are like independent projects that just appeared out of nowhere, and like Undertale or Pure Solar for the Dreamcast just appears out of nowhere.
Have you seen that movie Krampus?
Yeah.
What do you think of that one?
We need more Christmas horror movies. We really do. We need a lot more Christmas horror movies.
That wasn't a horror movie for me. It was good, but it wasn't. Then again, I'm just a jaded person.
Okay, if you want a good horror movie, go watch something like The Babadook or It Follows. Those are
I've seen The Thing, the Kurt Russell movie.
Yeah,
And
well, that's a great body horror at its finest. But yeah, I mean,
didn't even flinch. Then again, I've been playing stuff like Resident Evil and Silent Hill since I was 8, so I'm pretty jaded.
well, it's I don't buy into hype anymore. If something's really, 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 really good, I'm going to enjoy it. I didn't even hype myself up for Force Awakens. I didn't start feeling the hype machine until a month before it was released. And even then, I wasn't super hyped. I mean, I went on opening night because my friend showed up at my house and said, we're going. So
You're just like, all right.
yeah, let's do this. And I wasn't disappointed. The problem is with the hype machine, you get so hyped for something, and then it comes out and it never lives up to the hype. Only like Avengers lived up to the hype. That was about it.
Yeah, and then the second one, not do that.
Yeah. The second one was just a commercial for the third one.
Basically. I mean, Ant-Man was okay.
I watched that on the flight back from Japan, and it was entertaining.
So, what all did you do on your trip to Japan?
What didn't I do? I went everywhere. I saw more of the country than most Japanese. It's a very small country.
Do you speak the language at all?
Barely. Not enough to have a conversation with someone, but enough to get my point across. So I enjoyed it.
So you probably had a translator with you?
You don't really need to know Japanese. A lot of people there have basic understanding of English, or you'd be surprised, fully half of our communication is nonverbal. More than half of it is gestures, it's facial expressions, it's implications. So if you're trying to just simply do something or find something, it's very easy because this is universal. Where is something? How are you doing today? We don't realize how nonverbal our communication actually is until we go to a country like Japan and you discover that. I stayed at a traditional inn where the innkeeper spoke no English, and we got along perfectly because we did a lot of pointing.
I remember right before your first panel started, I believe it was Friday, maybe Thursday.
Probably Thursday.
You walked right up to me, saw me. I don't know if you recognized me at the time because we've only met a few times before. Just walked right up to me. You want to see something creepy? What you got? Drop a rock right in my hand. That's from the Suicide Forest.
Yep, I've been doing that all weekend. I've been doing that all weekend because it's fun. Because
did you actually get that from there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that I picked up as I was leaving. I was heading back to my car, and I'm like, you know what? I need to take a piece home with me. And I just picked it up off the ground. I'm like, this will do.
So, and the next thing you know, in about a couple more days, you're going to wake up in bed and there's just going to be a floating red mask above you.
Nope. Well, it hasn't happened here, and at home, my room is spirit-proof, so.
See, he knows. He knows.
Everything's spirit-proof. I no monsters will invade my personal space. I think The Rock got angry, though, when I destroyed my car on the way down.
Did you love any particular place more than any other that you visited?
I loved Ikebukuro. Ikebukuro is like one of the most awesome parts of Japan that I've ever seen. Of all the places that I went there, Ikebukuro is my favorite neighborhood in Tokyo. I really liked Tono. Tono is such a beautiful little village with such really friendly people in it. I really enjoyed Osaka. Osaka is very international. You get that kind of culture out of it. So those are like some of my favorite places while I was there. I mentioned I went to Ikebukuro the most. I went there 4 times. So I thoroughly enjoyed that little town.
I know if I ever have the pleasure of going to Japan, I know the very first thing I'm going to want to do is see the Hachiko statue.
You'll never find it. I walked past it 8 or 9 times, and there's always a crowd in front of it, so I never saw it.
It's that important.
Yeah, Shibuya Station.
You said they recently replaced it, right? Like of Hachiko actually greeting his master?
Yes, the master returned. They finally put it up there just to be like, oh. So they did that to complete the story, and it was, from what I gather, it's very nice. I walked out Hachiko Gate like 4 times looking for the damn statue.
Now, what kind
and
of
Shibuya
dog
is
was
huge.
Hachiko?
It was a Shiba Inu. It's a very big Shiba Inu. Very loyal dogs.
2 of my favorite dog stories was Hachiko and Balto.
Pretty much the same story.
Although the movie Balto, the anime movie, was a pretty loose interpretation, but same basic premise.
Yeah.
Just, talking animals, because Americans.
Because America likes talking animals.
Still better than the Muppets.
Muppets in the 60s. That's what good stuff.
Yeah. All right, did you visit Mount Fuji at all?
I climbed Mount Fuji, and a piece of that too. It's really harsh. Mount Fuji is really, really harsh, especially when you get above the tree line. It gets really harsh. At one point, if you get to 5th Station, which is where the trees stop and you just start seeing volcanic up the top, you look down and you realize the clouds are beneath you. You have driven through the cloud cover. The clouds are now, those infamous Fuji clouds are underneath you. And you look down and you're like, damn. Just damn. And the entirety of Shin Fuji, all the forests and lakes over there, are all a result of Fuji erupting. So it all has that same kind of beauty right there in front of you.
Oh, right.
The only thing is, if you don't go during climbing season, you will need a car. You will need a car.
They actually built roads to drive up there?
Yeah, you can drive all the way up to 5th Station. You can take a road. It's a winding mountain road all the way up to 5th Station.
That big of a tourist attraction.
Well, people want to go to Mount Fuji. They want to see the view from Mount Fuji. They want to climb the mountain. And it's infinitely easier to climb it from 5th Station than it is to climb it from the bottom where there's no paths, there's no trails.
That's understandable.
Yeah, and on Mount Fuji, there's all sorts of stuff around it. And it's the forests and the lakes. The five lakes are beautiful. The Suicide Forest is right there. I mean, technically, if you have the time and the energy, you could walk all the way from Aokigahara to Mount Fuji.
So, do you have any intention on seeing the Suicide Forest movie?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm totally going. I'm totally going like Friday. I want to see it and I want to do a review of it because I like that kind of like folklore stuff. I like when people have the ability to discover something new. I think they're going to screw it up. I think it's going to end up being absolutely horrendous. But I'm still going to go see it.
No, when I didn't know at the time when I first saw the previews for it, I was going to see Krampus when I was watching this. I was like, I'm already watching what's supposed to be, because as I said, I'm immune to horror. To me, there's no such thing as a horror movie.
All I can say is when they say stay on the path, they're not kidding.
You get lost
easily. If you don't mark your trail, you can turn around and be completely lost.
And there's always that person in a tour group who's like, oh, I have a natural sense of direction.
No,
5 minutes later,
you do not.
Where the
And it's really
hell am
weird
I?
because Aokigahara is not very big, so you can walk in circles.
End up tripping over a skeleton?
No, hopefully not. I saw some freaky stuff in there, but there's all sorts of freaky. And then the funny part is, there's a nature trail in there, and you see school kids running up and down the nature trail giggling. And then you're like, you do realize people die in this forest. But by the same token, and this is something incredibly morbid, wherever you stand, there is something dead under there. So really,
You said they're like, you didn't even see any bugs while you were there.
no
There
bugs.
was
I didn't see a
nothing
single
living.
bug. I didn't see anything. I mean, the whole time I'm there, I didn't see an insect. So it's like, that's kind of freaky. But then again, it is also a volcanic forest, so it's hard to thrive there.
The soil's not toxic, but like not really nutritious for a lot.
Well, there's a lot of trees, and the trees are gorgeous. They're beautiful, but it's like there's not a lot in the way of natural stuff to eat or survive there. The only sound of an animal I heard was the calling of a carrion bird. So that was even creepier when you hear. And the crows in Japan are like that big. They're huge, and then you're and you're like.
Now all we need is a fog to roll in.
Silent.
Yeah, seriously. Actually, there was a pretty decent amount of rain we had back in mid-November. And right as I was leaving work one night, I didn't get out until like 11 o'clock. I only saw like 12 feet into the parking lot. Everything else was fog. I was like, I'm going back inside.
You're getting checked inside the television.
Yes, Persona. I thoroughly enjoyed your panel on that. Persona.
Well, there will be more. There's going to be more stuff. Tons more stuff.
10 years, more than 10 years, Resident Evil Director's Cut had been my favorite game. Persona 3 came along and finally overthrew it. And then Persona 4 came.
Those are good games. I'm happy that there's good content in the world today.
Cannot wait for 5. I'm tired of waiting for 5.
Nobody can.
But we're running out of time. Charles, thank you so much for joining me.
Sure.
All right, and we will see you next year, I'm pretty sure.
Probably. I'll also be a triad.
I unfortunately won't have time for that one. Also, Winston-Salem and me do not get along.
Oh, I like Winston-Salem.
After that luau, I am never allowed back in the city.
All right. And I will see you at next station.
And we'll see you for the next session.